Which high school friend took a path you didn't expect? My best friend since I was 5 years old. Smartest person I ever knew. She went off to college and got into heroin. She is now serving a life sentence for first-degree murder. The quiet, kinda nerdy guy in the back of my AP calculus class is now the CEO of Playboy Thailand. Low achiever. Used to goof off in class all the time. Bit of a class clown. Used to tell everyone that her goal was to be a trophy wife so she could watch TV all day. Has shown her designs at Paris Fashion Week and has dressed several celebrities. You could have knocked me over with a feather when I was flicking through a copy of Vogue Australia on my lunch break and there was a 4-page article on her in there. I was so happy. She always had a heart of gold and I feel like her teen self was a reflection of what her family thought for her. She deserved to be much more than someone's wife. Cheerleader who took a heck of a turn. She was an impressive drinker in high school. She kept it up through college. Got a job. Didn't love it. She joined AA. Met a guy. Older. Had nice finances. Estranged from his ex-wife. Kids. No other family. They got married. A few months later. They are both drinking again. Within 2 years. He's dead. He left her everything. She is devastated. She goes back to AA. Met another guy. Apparently older men who are estranged from their families are super easy to find in AA. You got it, they're drinking. Next thing you know. He's dead. Left her everything. Now she's gone back to AA again. She has met the most wonderful man. It's a shame his kids won't speak to him and won't come to the wedding. It's next month. I had a friend in high school who was high achieving academically. He was in the top classes. Very nervous and well behaved in the classroom. Generally he was mostly thought of as quiet and the guy very few people paid any attention to. He's serving 8 years in prison for possession of drugs and child pornography. Average guy at school. Dead through alcoholism by his mid-20s. It was apparently asphyxiation that got him. I had a crush on a girl that was a real sweet, quiet girl. Not long ago saw her picture on the news for boosting cars. She was not so cute anymore. Not a friend. But I went to middle and high school with a girl who went into acting. Became a Power Ranger. High school meth dealer and local lunchroom pot cigarette vendor ended up being roommates senior year. 2 months after graduation they both joined the Las Vegas PD. A friend of mine is a talented artist with a deep passion for video game design. He worked on projects for indie devs all through high school. And I thought it was certain he would quickly become an artist for some dev studio soon after. He now works as a furniture salesman. There was this guy who bullied me and destroyed my self-esteem on a regular basis. He became a really successful vegan chef. Has his own restaurant. Cookbooks. Has been on talk shows to promote his stuff. A lot of them. I don't know if there was something in the water in our town. A lovely girl in my class had severe anorexia. To the extent she had to repeat the year. She was strikingly pretty. With the face of an angel. Always wondered if she felt self-conscious and grew obsessed about her looks because it was what people valued. Nobody made the same fuss about her good grades or niceness. She is now morbidly obese. Couch surfing and pretty much always wears the same big brown coat and tracksuit pants. Was shocked to see her go from one extreme to the other. Still really nice. Hope it works out for her. Another high achiever in our class is now a traveling musician and nudist. She dropped out of engineering and just travels from festival to festival as a concert goer. Dressed as a barefoot rainbow fairy. Self-funds by offering tarot readings. Spells. Palmistry. Lived by the creek for a while. Has a Pomeranian. Probably the smartest guy in class but never actually paid attention or did his homework. Was always sleeping in class or doing his own thing or goofing off. Recently sold his startup for 8 figures and is now back to goofing off. There were 2 that really stand out. One of them was a girl who got in a fair amount of trouble. She skipped school. Had a bad attitude and was more interested in hanging out with friends than learning. She ended up becoming a lawyer and eventually became the assistant DA of a city with about 3 million people. The other was a nice guy. Got along with most everyone. I even considered him a friend and hung out with him on occasion. He came from a great family, and while he didn't get the best grades, he was good at things like fixing cars, so I assumed he would end up going into that field. Instead, he started a career in drinking. By the time he was 30, he had been in jail several times, in a rehab a couple of times, had been arrested numerous times, had 2 restraining orders on him from former girlfriends, and had burned so many bridges with his family they had given up on him. Now in his mid-40s, he still lives in that same town. He looks like he is in his 60s, is on disability, and likely doesn't have much of a future as he continues to drink himself away. Elizabeth, the badass party chick. She was a brilliant and quietly rebellious type. She was pulling and getting away with shit that most of the guys branded as troublemakers in school could only dream of, because she had the sense and savvy to not show off to the world. She wasn't doing shit for the attention. She was just doing it because that's what she wanted to do. So smoking, heavy drinking, some drugs, staying out all night, whatever. She could outdo anyone else. Anyway, a little over 10 years later I caught up with her and found out she was a triathlete and overall health nut. He moved cities and I didn't hear from him for years. Turns out he murdered an elderly gay man and is in jail now. One super shy quiet dude is now doing time for blackmailing girls and posting their nudes. The happy surprise? One of the girls I went to school with kind of came from the wrong side of the tracks. Nice kid. But her family was known to be pretty trashy. And she dropped out of community college to be a stripper. A few years later, she got her shit together. And now she's a corporate lawyer. The not so happy surprise? Dude was brilliant. He came from a wealthy family. He was good at sports. He was a hilarious person to be around. Even at the time. It was no secret that he had his demons. But he was just so damn smart that it seemed like if he could grow out of his adolescent angst, everything would be fine. Again. Wealthy family. Bright. Good looking. Bro didn't exactly have to hit a home run to do okay in life. I believe he's working part-time at the grocery store now. But he may have gotten fired again. Or he might be back on disability. Or maybe he's working at Pizza Hut. It's always hard to keep it straight. Because he doesn't tend to hold down any particular job for long. Honestly. If he weren't such a nice person, there might be a hint of schadenfreude there. But as it is, it's just tragic. He really was brilliant. And he really was a wonderful human being. But there weren't enough advantages in the world to save him from himself. He was 2 years younger than me. Absolutely brilliant and went to Stanford after high school. Died in his sleep from a heart attack at age 20 while visiting family in China. He had an undiagnosed heart defect. So yeah. That was pretty unexpected. R.I.P. Kevin. Our high school had a good mix of preppy kids. And kids from, to put it lightly, rough histories. One thing I really admire about my school, in retrospect, never thought about it at the time, was how little we let socioeconomic status affect our interactions. I've mentioned it before. But of my core friend group of 6 guys, 3 have been to prison, 2 are still there. One's a doctor. One's an engineer. One's was an ambassador's aide but is currently a consular. Running a consulate. He, along with one of the guys in prison, did not end up where I expected. The guy who ended up in prison was always a bit of a jackass. He wasn't a dumb guy. But he did a lot of dumb things. So I guess it shouldn't surprise me. But still. He came from a well-to-do family. Did well in school. Just had a propensity for acting out. Anyway, he dropped out of college. Was working in a grocery store. There was a domestic dispute with his girlfriend. I had never known him to be the type to hit a woman. But he was a fighter. So I don't totally doubt it. even though he swears he never laid a hand on her. But yeah, had plenty of opportunity for a good life. Beat his girlfriend. Is currently in prison. The other guy, I couldn't be more proud of. His dad was a gangbanger who spent most of his time in prison. When we were juniors in high school, his father was shot in a drive-by and nearly died. The shooting crippled his dad, who to this day is in a wheelchair. His mother didn't speak English and only held down a menial maid job. Not something to support 3 kids. And surprisingly, he didn't like his home life. He crashed at our houses a lot. He got into college and moved away. And I didn't hear from him for 5 years. I heard from him again when he proposed to his girlfriend, his high school sweetheart. He wanted me to come to the wedding, but he also wanted to hang out before then. We got dinner and he talked about how he got a job at an embassy. We kept in touch after that. He got promoted to ambassador's aide, and now he's running a consulate. We're still youngish too. I think he's still got a bright future ahead of him. Couldn't be more proud of my friend. The most brilliant girl I knew. Second in our graduating high school. Was also one of the most lively and outgoing people I knew. She could befriend anyone. She was so fun and energetic and thoroughly enjoyed living life. I thought she was destined for so much success. She ended up passing away last year, just a couple months shy of her 24th birthday after a lengthy, private battle with cancer. When I found out about her illness, it was already terminal. And when she passed away, all I could think was how unfair it was that someone with so much potential, someone who did everything right in life, could die like that. Her death really got to me. And as the 1-year anniversary is approaching, I constantly remind myself to make the most of every second of my life. Because hers was cut so short. Best friend in high school. His stepdad was a district attorney and apparently they didn't get along at all. This was the Bible Belt Southeast. I met him in the 10th grade as I smoked weed and he happened to sell it. He lived in a trailer park and financed it with his weed sales. My parents hated him. After he graduated from high school while living 100% on his own, he did 2 years of college before getting accepted in a major medical university program that actually paid him to be there. He is now a pharmaceutical engineer living in Switzerland. My parents were surprised to hear that. Not me. But my cousin in the UK went to school with Dev Patel. Dev was apparently super into the drama club. And people thought he was too over the top. And kind of a tryhard that would never actually be a professional actor. His success was definitely unexpected for people he knew back then. Based on what my cousin said. Not really a friend as I didn't run with their crowd. But like at every school there was the really popular girl. Pretty. Cheerleader. Everybody liked her. Wealthy parents. etc. I'm sure you knew someone like that yourself. Just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago she got arrested and charged with several felonies for possession of meth, prescription painkillers, and a large amount of weed up. I moved away from that town years ago and haven't really kept in touch with a lot of the people from there. However, a buddy of mine sent me a picture of the report in the newspaper and was like, remember her? Definitely didn't expect it. That's for sure. Guy who sat behind me in hometown. Was a good student. But not an intellectual superstar by any means. After I relocated to Eastern PA. Turns out he was in Western NJ. Multi-millionaire. Former CEO of a pharmaceutical company. Great guy. Super happy for him. But truly unexpected. Ladies man guy with a big ego. He was fun for about 5 hours before you needed a break from him. Anyway. He slept with like a good 1/3 of the cheerleaders. Had a 4-way with some girls on the volleyball team. Senior year he screwed a bunch of the drama girls. He loved hanging out with the drama girls. Slept with them all of the time and they became his flavor of choice. Turns out he cared less for the cheerleaders and drama girls and more about cheerleading and drama. Guy's in a gay porno now and does some off-Broadway shows. The prettiest girl in high school. Who was always nice to me. I was a bullied child, overdosed on heroin 2 years ago. I still cry for her.